What's up, bitches? We're doing this again. Alright. I believe you guys know what book it is and how much we hate it at this point. So I'm gonna save you that. But, get ready to die, bitches.
For those of you that are just now coming into this video.
We're not watching. Yes, we're watching the book. We're reading the Five Nights at Freddy's Silver Eyes book. I forget who it's by because I can't see the cover. By my friend's finger because I can't read the name.
Oh my fucking god, it's right here.
Kira Breed Risley.
Risley. I say Risley. I say whiskey. That's what I'm gonna need after.
Aren't we all? Okay, so aside from the alcoholic jokes, let's get this started. And you've already drawn yourself.
Shut the fuck up.
You gotta.
Maybe that's why the character's so stupid, because they're so drunk. Okay, can
I
I
wish.
fucking begin? Thank you.
It's not hot chocolate anymore, man.
Charlie unlocked the front door to her old house again and looked back down to the front steps.
Coming?
Oh,
the car.
John was still standing on the bottom step, staring up at the house. He shivered a little before hurrying to join her. Sorry, he says sheepishly. I just had a weird feeling for a second. Charlie laughed without much humor.
Just for a second?
They went inside. And John stopped again, looking around. The front room like he had just stepped into a sacred place, somewhere that merited a humbling pause. What the fuck was that sentence? Charlie bit her tongue, trying not to be impatient. It was how she had felt as well. She might have felt that way now if she were not overwhelmed by a sense of urgency. The feeling that the answer to everything, the answer how to get Carlton back, must be somewhere in this place. Where else could it possibly be?
I know what you guys should do for the decorations at your wedding. I know this is really random, but it actually relates to this. Okay, so for your wedding, you take this exact book right here. Like, don't buy a new one. Get this exact book. Cut all of the pages out of it and make some epic looking flowers out of it. That way, at least something good could come out of this piece of shit.
Where else could it possibly be? Sorry, what?
Wipe your ass with a book.
Okay, so can't be somewhere in this. Where else could this be? No, they just moved to fucking China. It's now John, she said. It's okay. Come on.
He nodded and followed her up the stairs to the second floor. He stopped again briefly halfway up. Stop stopping! And Charlie saw his eyes fixed on the dark stain that merited the wood floor of the living room. He began to say, then swallowed and started over. Is Stanley still here? Charlie pretended not to notice the lapse.
You remember his name?
She said instead, grinning. John shrugged. Who doesn't love a mechanical unicorn?
What the fuck? That's like your dream. A few years
Yeah,
ago.
he's still there. All the toys still work. Come on. Okay, if she says come on one more fucking time, I'm going to strangle her.
They hurried.
Follow me, children.
They hurried. They hurried the rest of the way to her room. John knelt down beside the unicorn and pressed the button that set him on the track, watching rapidly as he made his squeaky way around the room. Charlie had a smile behind her hand. John was watching intently, his face serious, as if something very important were happening. For a moment, he looked just like he had so many years ago, his hair falling into his face, his whole attention fixed on Stanley. Like nothing in the world was more important than the robotic creature. Suddenly his attention was called upwards, and his face lit up, and he pointed. Oh, that's fucking me, my bad. Your big girl closet, it's open, he exclaimed, getting back to his feet, approaching the tallest of the three closets, which was hanging open slightly. He pulled it open all the way and leaned in, finding it empty.
Oh my god.
So what was in it all those years? He asked.
Not sure, Charlie said with a shrug. Not sure, Charlie said with a shrug. I sort of remember Aunt Jen bringing me back at some point, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was full of clothes that I was finally big enough to wear. Aunt Jen was always thrifty. Why spend money on new clothes when you don't have to, right? She smiled.
John glanced briefly at the smaller closets, but he left them alone.
I'm going to see if I can find any photo albums or paperwork, Charlie said.
And she nodded absently at Stanley as Stanley rattled back to his starting point. As she left the room, she heard him start up again, making another round on the track. The room that had been her father's was next to Charlie's. It was at the back of the house and it had too many windows. In summer it was too hot. In the winter, the cold dribbled in like a persistent leak. But Charlie had known without being told why he used it. From here, you could see the garage and his workshop. It had always made sense to Charlie. This was his place, like a part of him always lived here, and he did not like to be too far away from his. Touchstone. A wave from her dream came to her for a moment. Not even an image, just a strange whatever the fuck that word is.
Let me see.
Gesture.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Of memory. She frowned, looking out the window at the closed, silent garage door.
Or maybe he just wanted to be sure nothing got out, she thought.
She broke away from the window, shrugging her shoulders and shaking her hands, slogging off her feelings. She looked around the room. Like her own, it was all but untouched. She did not open the drawers to his dresser, but for all she knew, it might have been filled with shirts and socks, clean, folded, and ready to wear. His bed was made crisply covered in a plaid blanket he used as a bedspread after Charlie's mother left, when there was no one to insist on white linen. There was a large bookcase against one wall, and it was stuffed with books. Charlie went over and began scanning the shelves. Many were textbooks, engineering, tomes with titles meant nothing to her, and the rest were nonfiction, a collection that would have seemed electronic to anyone who did not know the man. There were books on biology and anatomy, some on human beings and other on animals. There were books about the history of traveling carnivals and the circus. Ooh, that one line. That one fucking line made that entire third book. One mention of traveling carnival and the circus. One mention. And suddenly,
I like that shit.
there's the third book.
It's like she tried to incorporate this location, and it's just like, no, just no.
There were books about child development, about myths and legends, and about sewing patterns and techniques. There were volumes that claimed to be about trickster gods, about quilting bees, and about football cheering squads and their mascots. What the fuck is he reading?
You see, the thing I can appreciate about the second book is that she at least tried to make her own fan-made animatronics. They were essentially a rip-off of the Nightmares, but they were still kind of original. But here it's just like, oh, we're just going to use the first animatronics, and this is location animatronics.
Alright,
Okay.
it is 3:30. With everyone needs to come forward. Everybody move forward.
Flying
Landon, you
backwards
too. Or Landon, you too. Alright.
Fuck up.
Another day you can see the person
Everybody
that
move on down.
I've got 3 bags, man.
Everyone move down.
I'm trying to help. Bro, that's literally where we've been sitting. I'm moving your book back. Fuck, it's in my way. There we go. I kicked this book bag out of the way because it was in our way. Sit, child. Maybe don't do something that rhymes with sit, but yeah, sit, please.
On the very top shelf were stacks of file folders, and the bottom shelf was empty except for a single book. A photo album, leather bound, as pristine as time and dust could allow. Charlie grabbed it and it stuck for a moment, almost too tall for the lower shelf that had been given. After a minute, it came free and she headed back to her bedroom, leaving the door open with the sudden sense that if it closed, she might never get back in. John was sitting on the bed when she returned, looking at Stanley with his head tilted to the side.
What?
Charlie asked, and he looked still pensive. I was wondering if he's been lonely, he said, then shrugged.
He's got Theodore, Charlie said, pointing to the stuffed rabbit. It's Ella, who's all alone in the closet.
She placed the album beside John on the bed and her track.
Your name is in the book.
I'm all alone and in the
And
closet. I mean, it makes
to
sense.
its foot. Then she turned to Will and said Ella on her track. She sat down beside him and they watched together, spellbound as if as the little dog came out in her crisp, clean dress and took blankly off her tea. Neither of them spoke until the smallest closet door closed behind her. John cleared his throat. So, what's in the books?
Photos, Charlie said. I haven't looked at them yet.
She picked up the album and opened it at random. The top picture was her mother holding a baby, maybe a year old. She held the child above her head, flying like an airplane, her head thrown back in the midst of a laugh, her long brown hair swinging out in an arc behind her. The baby's eyes were wide, its mouth open in delight. John smiled at her. You look so happy, he said. She nodded.
Yeah, she said. I guess I must have been. If that's me.
She did not add aloud. She opened to another page where the only picture of the large family portrait stiffly posed at a studio. They were dressed formally. Charlie's father was wearing a suit, her mother was in a bright pink dress with padding that lifted her shoulders almost to her ears, and her brown hair was straightened flat in place. Each of them was holding a baby, one in a white frilly dress and one in a sailor suit. Charlie's heart skipped, and beside her she heard John take a sharp, quick breath. Why is everyone so scared of the death that happened? Oh God, there's a picture of him. Oh fucking God. Like, it's a picture of him.
I don't know why. It's like they're so scared of a dead person. It's like, oh my God, a normal factor of life. Like this.
She looked at, oh my fucking God. She looked at him with a feeling like the floor was dropping away beneath him.
It was real, she said. I didn't imagine him. Oh God.
10 out of 10, Sister of the Year. I think you... Oh, John said nothing in response, just nodded. He put a hand on her shoulder.
Baby self, like she was watching Sammy get taken away, but then she decided to cry at the last minute.
And then they turned back to the photo album.
We all looked so happy, Charlie said softly.
I think you were, John said. Look, you had such a goofy smile. He pointed and Charlie laughed. The whole book was like that, the first memories of a happy family who expected there to be many more. They were not arranged chronically, so Charlie and Sammy appeared as toddlers, then as newborns, and at various stages in between. Except on formal occasions when Charlie was put into a dress, of which there seemed to be few, it was impossible to tell which baby was which. There were no traces of Freddie Fred Bear's Family Diner. Near the back of the book, Charlie came to a Polaroid of her and Sammy together, infants bright red and sprawling on their backs, wearing nothing but diapers and a hospital wristband. On the space below, the picture had someone had written Mommy's Boy and Daddy's Girl. The rest of the pages were blank. Charlie went back again, opened at random to find a strip from a photo booth. 4 shots of her parents alone. They smiled at each other, then made faces at the camera, then laughed, missing the chance to pose and blur their faces. Lastly, they smiled into the lens. Her mother was beaming happily at the camera, her face alight and flushed. Her father was staring into the distance, a smile fixed on his face.
Alright, it's a picture, it's a family photo.
A smile fixed on his face as if he had left it there by mistake. His dark eyes were intense, remote, and Charlie resisted a sudden urge to look behind her, as if she might see whatever he was looking at. She peeled back the cellophane from the album page and took out the strip. They folded it in half, carefully to place the crease between the pictures, leaving them intact. She slipped the picture in her pocket and looked at John, who was watching her again as she were some kind of unpredictable creature he needed to be careful around. Okay. This is your house, your shit. Just take the entire fucking photo album. Just take it off.
No, we gotta protect Daddy's property.
Grayson, quick says. Grayson, quick says.
You know what? I'm gonna do something and the world's going to end.
Oh God! Holy shit! Go ahead and say it before we end.
What? She said.
Charlie, you know I don't think you did right.
You said that.
I'm serious. It's not just what Carlton's dad said. I knew him as well as a kid. Ken knows someone other kid's dad. He wouldn't do it. I wouldn't believe it. He spoke with a calm certainty, like someone who believed that the world was made out of facts and tangible things that were such things as truth. Charlie nodded.
If you're gonna blame anyone for the dead, blame the fucking parents for not watching their kids. I know, she said.
She took her next breath slowly, gathering the words.
Breast.
Breath slowly.
Gosh darn it.
Gathering
You lesbian.
the words she would
sorry.
speak with it.
And it's true. We love you.
But I might.
His eyes wide-funneled, and she looked at the ceiling for a minute, briefly trying to remember if all the cracks had been there when she was a child.
I don't mean I think he did it. I don't think that, she said. I don't think about it at all. I can't. I shut the whole thing off in my mind the day I left Hurricane. I don't think about Freddy. I don't think about what happened. And I don't think about him. I don't like that first wording, the first part. I don't mean I think he did it.
Yeah,
That's worded a little bit weird.
you could say, I don't think he did it. John's looking at...
Or you could put, I mean, I don't think he did it.
Yeah. John was looking at her like she was monstrous. Like, what she was saying was the worst thing he had ever heard. Hey, I haven't told you about my dad. He committed suicide.
Did I tell you my dad committed suicide?
I don't want to be like him. I don't understand how you can say things like that, he said quietly. You loved him. How can you even consider the possibility that he would do something so terrible? What the fuck, Charlie?
Even the people who do terrible things are the people who love them. Charlie was looking for words. I don't think he did it. I'm not saying that, she said again. Again, the words hit the air as flimsy as paper. But I remember him dressing up for us in the yellow Freddy suit, the dances, miming along the song. It was so much a part of him. He was the restaurant. There was no one else. And he was always so distant. Like in that picture, there was always something else going on beneath the surface. It was like he had a real life and a secret life, you know? Did you not realize there was also a yellow rabbit as well?
They said there's a yellow fucking rabbit. Someone please fucking kill me.
I mean, if you're giving Robert, I can gladly fulfill that wish.
How? So she said that she remembers, I think, Sammy being taken away by a yellow rabbit. I think it might be in the back, but I think it might have been over here. How the fuck did she not remember that? Oh wow, it was a yellow rabbit. Huh. My dad wore a yellow Fredbear suit. I must be fucking bonkers.
I like how you swapped British.
Cowboy!
You just put your computer skills on, like, okay, your father wore the yellow bear suit. This guy wore the yellow rabbit suit. I think we can rule out your dad already.
Oh, wait, hold up. All I can see is you in the future trying to solve a mystery, and you go up to the person and you start speaking with your British accent. And they're like, who the fuck are you? The lady I talked to last time looked like you, but she didn't talk British.
Do it actually sound British?
When you do that, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to ram into your ass.
I can jump actually.
John nodded.
Big ass nose.
What book?
The book that's worthless.
Exactly, it's worthless. Therefore, I do not give two shits. John nodded and looked about to speak, but Charlie stopped him rushed on him before he could.
Like he said, we were the secret life. His real life was his work. It was what mattered. We were his guilty pleasure.
Oh my god. Please highlight that. That is scary.
The thing he got hidden away from the dangers.
Oh, it sounds like a weird sex thing. Mm-hmm. Oh god, it gets worse.
Oh yes. The thing he got. The thing he got to love and sneak away to have time with. Something he kept hidden away from the dangers of what he did in his real world. And when he was with us, there was always a part of him that was back in reality. Whatever that was for him, he was jacking off to us.
Again, John opened his mouth, but Charlie snapped the photo album shut, stood up, and left the room. John didn't follow right away as she traversed a short hall to her father's bedroom. She could almost hear him making up his mind, not waiting for him. She went to the bookshelf, wanting to get the book out of her hands. Maybe if it were close up and put away, her mind too would return to its normal order. The book would not fix, and she dropped it back on her knees to get a better angle, trying to jam the thing back where it belonged, getting it out of her hands.
I thought it said jackets made for every podcast, and I'm like,
The shelf seemed to have shrunken down a little while she was gone, so that she could never put it right.
I like how the only one who responds is Alexa.
Goodbye.
I'm making up names, I promise. I'm trying my best. I keep forgetting about the recording.
That's not
Ow. Didn't really sound that weird. Ella! Boy!
We've got 2 names in the past, like 3 minutes.
my name?
Alexander.
Got me to carry your book.
Where are we heading?
We all weird.
We about to go back and flash back in time.
Oh no, is it the horrible transitioning again?
Yep.
Like, normally when you do a flashback or a transition, you do like this little fancy little thing that some people do, or you just like put like a double the space to like know like, okay, we're moving to a different area.
No, it's like, boom.
Like, why italicize that's when you italicize something that is only for thoughts.
I was about to say, you italicize it for thoughts, and you can italicize a word if you want that word to be emphasized.
But then when you italicize the entire thing, and then like don't italicize for emphasize, it's wrong. It just looks weird.
Was it crying?
So when you do a flashback, you always put like a space to indicate the rear. Okay, we're either moving to a new area or it's a flashback.
With a cry of frustration, Charlie shoved the photo album in as hard as she could. The shelf rocked back, then forward, and suddenly a mass of papers and file folders tumbled from above her. Charlie began to cry as the pages drifted down around her, covering the floor like snow as she wept. Swiftly, John was there. I heard you were crying. Time to go in and hug you because I'm the lover.
I was reading about the author, and not only does she only have a degree in history, but she only wrote plays, which is a different writing style and technique than an actual book. No wonder she wrote this badly. It's because she only wrote plays.
She's the author of 7 plays.
And plays are like role playing.
Plays are way easier to write than books.
Because with plays, all you have to do is like describe the location where the character's at, and
it's like each character says this, character says this. They go to the forest. Character says this, character says this. It's not a book. Bye.